There's been plenty of moments that I fell in hard times. More often than not, getting faded was my lifeline. I realized that I've always struggled with change, but sometimes you gotta rearrange before you go insane. I've been doing my best to stay true to myself, put my next foot forward and smoking dope for my health. I never give up the music till I'm rolling in wealth. Some days I swear this basement's my own personal hell. Well, I love the sound of the city. Goddamn, I love the sound of the city. Yeah, yeah. I'm wide awake when you're with me. I feel better when you got my back, yeah. Red eyes, I'm sky high. I think this might be the best night that I've ever had, that I've ever spent with you. I confess I'm obsessed with the sex. Heart palpitations every time that she texts. I admit that we ain't always been the best for each other, but what is love without the little test? Girl, you know you're my sneaky link. When I'm with you, my ego shrink. I'm just craving time for us alone. I think about you every time I'm home smoking dope. I love the sound of the city. Goddamn, I love the sound of the city. Yeah, yeah. I'm wide awake when you're with me. I feel better when you got my back, yeah. Red eyes, I'm sky high. I think this might be the best night that I've ever had, that I've ever spent with you.
You say I'm not enough. I say I'm not giving up, no. I'm working out the details, but my tears won't let me. Small fears with little jumps. So sick of stupid love. Things you said to me that night cut deeper than you.
Thinking of all the sad things, wondering why I can't breathe. I'm not feeling it today. I'm not feeling it today. Lost my mind and I can't escape the maze. Can't restart cause you're getting in the way. I'm not feeling it today.
I've been high for so long I forget what it's like to feel alive. I find I spend all my time getting lost in the halls of my head.
I've been thinking about the shit that you said. I've been thinking about the way we love things. I know, life can be hard. I can be dumb and love can be fucked.
I'm not feeling it today. I'm not feeling it today. Lost my mind and I can't escape the maze. Can't restart cause you're getting in the way. I'm not feeling it today. Not enough. And I said I've given up. I wanna be a better me, the one you need. But instead it's
everlasting, truly everlasting. And true things, we talk about bad things, only ever bad things. This past year's been a nightmare. I've been losing my shit, trying to fight fair. Really all I need is fresh air.
wanna get lost and know somewhere.
My girl left, never came back. I've been knocking my brain, trying to think back. Was I truly ever like that? I don't believe in fate. I think the weight of the world lies on your shoulders. I think I need a change, cause as of late I've been living in a wasteland. Losing sleep, watch the light reflecting, the hours never ending. And do you think life is everlasting, truly everlasting?
What's up, everybody? Happy Wednesday. Sorry to turn on the cam. I usually don't live, but I watch every release. Good to catch you while you're live for once. Oh, happy to have you here. So sent out a couple aggressive tweets this week calling for the bottom to be in. Again, we need to close. We need to have a couple of confirmations before that is true, but Bitcoin's looking really good. So I just don't understand why everyone keeps like max shorting every single move, right? Like, you're out of your mind. There's nothing bearish on the chart. Like, if you're a trader, like, I'm not some perma whatever, right? I'm a trader. Like, I trade if the chart is bullish all along. If the chart is bearish, I will short. If you're a good trader, if you're a mediocre trader, like, not even a mediocre trader, if you are an average trader and you're looking at this chart and you're saying, I'm going to short it, you're an absolute idiot. There's nothing on a daily or 4 hour that says to short, even a weekly. However, going to go over the main stuff, talk about maybe some CPI, why I think it really doesn't matter at this point, why it has never mattered before the last year. There's CPI meetings every week. There has been for your whole life, and you didn't start caring until this year. And I advise a lot of you, if you're trading today, just don't even bother. It is a huge waste of time. What's up, yes sir? What's up, Daniel? Really small crowd today. Kind of surprised with CPI. But anyways, I'll keep it, unless a ton of people join, I'll probably keep it short and sweet. You guys know the weekly still in neutral territory, daily. Couple things. I have some questions on if this is a double top. I don't believe so. We just had an inverted head and shoulders breakout. Retest, it will continue higher. There's always the possibility that it could be a double top, but again, we just had an inverted head and shoulders, a massive inverted head and shoulders. I think that this plays out. Yes, both tops touch. We don't confirm until we break below this point. Basically, until you break below the neckline, would that confirm? A couple things on a 1 hour. I do like this bounce. Again, the market's closed. I know there's after hours. Let's see the ES. It's kind of hard to judge here. Yeah, like, personally, I don't believe this is a double top, but I've seen worse. Right? Like, to me, this just looks like consolidation. This doesn't really look like a double top. I know, you have 2 points that hit the same kind of price point, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's a double top. Just like you could say this, okay, maybe the one wick's really far through, but maybe you could say, oh, well, we have 2 wicks that hit. That's a double bottom. No, it's not. Double tops look like big M's. There's usually like more buildup. It's usually very obvious. To give you an example, just looking at the Bitcoin chart on the daily, like, this is a double top. This is what a double top looks like. So if we compare that to SPX, like, again, kind of keeping a memory, like, that doesn't even remotely, it doesn't even really look like, yes, it kind of looks like a double top, but to me, it's not really resembling that. Plus, we just broke out. This is more or less consolidation and continue higher. The 4 hour was, we had some divergence there on that second peak. Now we have bullish divergence, again, with that 4 hour close. So I just don't see how it's, and again, you're looking at this point to now this point. So I don't really see how it's a double top. I mean, it could be, but I'm going with my gut here and thinking that it's not. Ultimately, would like to hit 4,200 before any type of reversal or before we continue upwards. We won't know until we break 4,200 or touch 4,200. But we're still in neutral territory, so we can't really say the bottom's in, even though I believe the bottom's. I'm more on the page that the bottom's in. Did I full port send it? No. No, I've been slowly accumulating for the last year. This idea that, people that are like, oh, the bottom's in, or, oh, I've been buying low or whatever, like, no one with half a brain is putting in half of their account size for long term at $30,000, right? That is stupid. That is not what smart traders do. That's not what reasonable traders do. That's not what anyone with any sort of brain in this space does. What people that, they're always your egotistical traders. And to give you an example, Egris, and I know I told you I wouldn't really talk about him, but here we are. On the daily, I have a post saved that Egris bought 70% of his account net worth, like account worth, within this 30K area. Okay. From that point, let's just say he averaged around 29.8. Even if he bought 28.9, right? We dumped 40%, right? We dumped almost 50%. Now, I'm not saying he held that loss. He probably, so he probably bought here, saw that we dumped 10%, probably saw that we left the wick, but he still lost 7% of his net worth. And he probably used leverage too. So he might have lost 14 or 20 or 30% of his money. So if you're one of those people that, you're like, oh, the bottom's in, all this, all that, you should never be putting in your full account. You should be doing, dollar cost average. Again, dollar cost average is one of those things where you're not looking at TA. You're saying, you're using like very minor TA. You're saying, okay, we're down 80%. I started at 19.6. So let's go from top to bottom to 19.6. So 19.5, 19.6. We were down 72%. I said, okay, in all of Bitcoin's history, it's dropped about 80 to 90%. We're down 72. We're below the previous all-time high or barely touching it. This is probably a good time to start buying. We ended up dropping like all the way down to like 17,000 to begin with. So really we dropped, about 75%. Continue lower to 15. Now, you could make the argument, oh, that's stupid to be buying at 19.7 because we dropped all the way to 15. I don't know where the bottom is. No one knows where the bottom is. You're not the only person that knows is the creator of mankind. Like if you believe in God, God would be the only person that knows, right? Nobody knows. So your best chance of absorbing the bottom, again, you're not going to buy the bottom. Your goal is to absorb as low as you can. Is say, okay, we're down 70%, we're down 80%, and absorb this. Even if we were to go to 12,000, even if we were to go to 6,000, you are absorbing the quote-unquote bottom. You guys have to remember, Bitcoin's bottom is usually in like a 200% range. Like the 3K to 10K range was 300%. We basically ranged in a 300% area for 2.5 years before we saw all-time highs, before we started that bull run. So your goal is to try and absorb the bottom half of that range. So you'd start dollar cost averaging. Maybe you start dollar cost averaging at 6, 3, back into 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. If your average is 6,000 in that range, you make a 10x by doing nothing but buying once a week for a couple years, which is, I've learned it worked out really, really well. Why would I not try it again? It's very riskless. It's very, it's very easy. And then you have that security that you're saying, okay, like I've been buying for the last year. I have plenty of Bitcoin. If we go to 150K, I will make $500,000. But I also have enough ammo to say, okay, if we do go back down, if this isn't the bottom, let's say we go all the way down to 12, 6,000, 10,000, whatever. I have plenty of money to buy all the way back down. Or even if we go back down to 15, I have plenty of money to continue buying. My dollar cost average isn't even halfway loaded, right? But I was planning a 1 to 3 year time window just because, in my opinion, and per the government, we have been in a recession for the last year. I said, as soon as recession starts, I'm buying. We are down 75% at that point. So I said, okay, I'm going to start buying now. You are crazy not to. We're down 80%. Recessions, the moment that they announce recession is generally the market bottom, right? Or very close to it. If you compare stock market and all of that, in 2008 when they announced recession, like the next week was the bottom, right? Same thing with war. The moment they announce war, generally it's the bottom because you drop on the way to the announcement. The announcement, you bottom and then go up from there. New camera or lights? I've had new lights for a while. I mean, it's just bright outside. Like it's like 80 degrees today. It's really nice. Got my haircut today. Just kind of did some stuff outside. I'm probably going to go fishing Friday. So probably no live stream Friday. So I'm trying to cover as much as I can today. But let's go into the DXY. We talked about SPX. So couple huge things here, right? So I don't want to get ahead of myself because it is very, very possible that we're looking at not only a daily double bottom, but a possibly weekly double bottom. Now, my gut tells me that this is not going to play out, right? Like, we'd need to bounce tomorrow, pretty much. Like, we need to bounce. If we go any lower, you're looking at not only a diagonal breakdown, you're looking at a horizontal breakdown. You're looking at a pattern that, yes, it kind of looks like a double bottom, but the symmetry is starting to fall off, right? If we bounce and come back to here and maybe consolidate next week and then start shooting up, that changes some things. And that's now looking like that double bottom might play out. But you have to remember, we can still make a bear flag. We can still do this before heading lower. So as much as we want to say that double bottom is in the works, it is, but there's still other possibilities, right? Now looking at the daily, I really need this daily to go down, right? If we start bouncing, we start holding the 101.5 area going into close today, it's definitely looking like a double bottom, right? I mean, you have a very symmetrical double bottom. You have the weekly double bottom. It's looking really good for a double bottom at this point. Like, if this was Bitcoin's chart, I would be longing the absolute living shit out of this chart. Like, this is something I would be longing. Excuse me. Sneezing. I would be longing this. So, and I had to tell class today, like, I would be longing this. You look at, RSI, MACD, all of that. I mean, you have all of the divergences. So these would be considered bullish divergences. Same with here, because we're making equal lows. Excuse me. I might sneeze again. But, as great as it looks, I've seen setups where, like, we'll go to Ethereum. So this was a setup I tried to take before Ethereum just like dumped beyond belief. And it was, where was this? I believe it was right here. I want to think that it was right in here. Where's the 4 hour? So a couple things. We ended up making a descending triangle here. My only concern, at the time, so I figured we'd get a double bottom. I ended up being wrong. I was like, oh, look at this, double bottom, or possibly double bottom, or whatever. I don't even know if this is the right. Maybe it was here. I can't remember, but I do know it was the day that we dumped like an absolute ton. June sounds about right. So eventually we did break down and it went really ugly. But, just because the DXY is showing like multiple support tests, possible double bottoms. Let's look at the weekly real quick, see if there's anything. Probably not the best example. Yeah, weekly's not going to give us a lot. But, oh, here we go. The daily maybe. A little wonky. Yeah, I don't really like that. Anyways, it's until we break that confirmation point, there's nothing that really says that this is a double bottom, right? I'd like to see it go lower. If it does, that's going to help a lot. But until, we get that confirmation, until really tomorrow, we're not really going to know. What's up, Jory? How you doing? What's up, Igor? Markets are forward-looking. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely agree with you. It's still a very small crowd. This market, like, are people just not trading? Are people not? My Twitter engagement's gone down a lot, and I'm not shadow banned or anything. Moving on. So total, we actually have a breakout, and what looks like a retest on the daily. We have a level here, a very well-defined level, 119 to about 114, break retest. So very, very interesting there. It's even more obvious with Bitcoin. Obviously, we have a very well-defined break of this. Well, that was acting as resistance break. Haven't retested, but I don't see a lot of reasons to. We also broke that RSI trend, as talked about on Monday, and I really don't consider any of these divergences because we started a new uptrend from this low, right? With that said, let's go to H4. So, tweeted earlier. So this is more or less consolidation to level out, MACD, RSI. We were very, very overbought, some of the most overbought. So a couple things. I am looking for 32K, but if we get it, we're probably going to see some sort of divergence on MACD and RSI. We're probably going to see some type of price action exhaustion. So at 32K, I plan to take profits. I think, let's say the DXY does have a double bottom, and this is something I told my students earlier. On the 4 hour, if we just look very ever so slightly, we spent some time consolidating here. So if we consolidate here and then move upwards, this consolidation would allow Bitcoin to either, make a double top or continue up and make some kind of ascending wedge there, or do something that gives us a short signal, right? Some divergences, some of something. So yes, very, very possible this could be, a reversal in the making, but for now it's much too early. There's really nothing bearish on this chart. I've been good, man. I'm up a ton on my Bitcoin long. I'm waiting to see what happens with it. It's looking like really good consolidation. I'm really happy. The whole CPI thing didn't stop me out today. Now, granted, my stops are in like the 28,000 area, 28,800 or something like that. Just to stay safe from CPI. I didn't know how far we'd dip. I knew it'd be bought up immediately. But so far, so good. We can even see volumes. Other than the crazy CPI volume, right? Which again, this is CPI. Ignore this. This is just CPI volatility. Volume's been going down, and we're moving sideways. So it's looking really, really good to continue upwards. I would like to see us just move sideways like this for all of tomorrow, and then Friday we moon. For whatever reason, Friday has been solid in the past for very, very large green days. But guys, I'm going to keep this one short. I don't have a lot more to cover. I've kind of given a lot of information on what I think of CPI. And I personally, I think it's like, I don't understand why people put so much weight on it. Yes, there's inflation. Yes, it's not really changing too much. It's gone down, but it has gone down, right? Like we were at 8.9% or whatever last year. Now we're at 5, 6. So it is going down. We are seeing or will see the results of interest rate hiking over the last year at some point down the road, right? But even still, I was talking today, 5% interest rate is still very, very low. Like look 20, 30 years ago, the interest rates were in the teens, double digits, right? And we were still conducting business. We were still buying homes. We were still doing all of the things that we're doing today, just with higher interest rates. So as much as we want to say, yes, interest rates going up is bad, they're really not terrible. Like, right? Now we've had 1%, 0% for the last 8 or so years, but they're still pretty low. They're not incredibly high. I don't really pay attention to news-related events, according to the unlock. Like with Ethereum, I don't see any bearishness here, at all. So for me personally, I think people are using the unlock to short, and there's nothing to short on this chart, right? Like I don't trade based on news. I don't trade based on what a company says. I don't do any of that. I trade based on the charts, and I don't see anything bearish on this chart. I'm going to call it there. I'm hungry, very, very hungry. I haven't eaten. I had a lot. Well, I ate breakfast, but I haven't eaten lunch. So I'm